Hi, my name's Cheri. Welcome to my stamp workshop. I have another trifold card for you today. You may have caught this one. I did this one. It was my tutorial yesterday. Super cute little Halloween card, so you can go back over and catch it. This was the shimmery one, and this is the non-shimmery one. But it's fun that has the little windows, and then you can add the little mesh tape here and have your bats, either your glimmer bats or your lacy bats, because they're all kinds of fancy bats for our upscale Halloween card. So this one's there. I'm going to do a Christmas one today, and then I am going to be doing a fall one. So I don't know if it'll be the next tutorial because I haven't made my next card yet, or what, because the Labor Day weekend's coming up here in the US. So today's Friday, so I may take a couple of days off. But today I'm going to be doing the Christmas one with this really fun bundle out of the holiday catalog. It's called Peace and Joy. So it's my daughter's set, and she dropped it off for me to borrow. And so when I was trying to look at ones I wanted to do, if you're going to do one of these at Christmas, last year I did the snowmen that are still in the catalog. You want to have one that has lots of pieces and that fills up all of the space. So this, I was really, really pleased with it. And we are going to use all of the pieces of dies, but not quite all of the stamps, but most of them. So I will show you. In my head, it was going to be a super colorful card. So I cut out all the pieces so they kind of come like this. So each die has 3. You don't have to use them all. And then each one also has a stamp. So I could have stamped on this. You can see how they fit. Or you could stamp on one of these. So you could do like red and green and stamp on white. Or you could stamp and then have this piece cut them out. So there's a bunch of different ways that this set will work. That's why I'm not sure if I'll do my fall one next, because I may show you a different way to use this same bundle before my daughter takes her set back. But she's coming tomorrow, so I may lose it before I get to it. And I was gonna do bright colors. Like I was kind of thinking 50s bright aluminum Christmas tree. But when I had it laying there, then the one color combination, so I kind of went 50s instead of 60s because I really liked the one. So the dies come, we're going to cut the dies out and do our panel. It's a really simple card, really. So you have the big piece that does like the cloud bit. And as I was doing it, I thought they really could be clouds if you're on another card and you need a cloud stand in. And then it has the middle piece, and then it has the really pretty thin piece that does the words. So for when I made my first mock-up card, I didn't use the adhesive sheets. Use the adhesive sheets. At least you don't need it on the fat one, but on the 2 you do. So I have Coastal Cabana, and then I have Flirty Flamingo, and then I have the new brass. And it doesn't need to cover the whole entire piece. And I don't know why I flipped it over, because you know there is no front, there is no back. It's all the same piece of cardstock, but I know we all do that. And this is a white card, and I tried really careful to not get my hands dirty, and I was laying everything out, and I touched something black. So I already have black ink on my fingers. And then here's the brass. So flip this over, and then these adhesive sheets are in the back of the catalog, and they're just a lifesaver when you're using any of these small dies, because then you don't have to worry about sticking them on. I cut these a little bit too big. So for each of them, you have 3 pieces. So I stuck adhesive on the top 2 and not on the bottom, because that is plenty big enough to just use your regular adhesive. Get this off my scissors. And I've already put my adhesive on the other one, so you don't have to watch me do that. So we've got these. We'll run these through. And then we also have to make our window. And for that, I'm going to use the stitched label dies, which a lot of you may have those already because they're from last year's annual catalog, so they've been around a minute. And then I have a 12-inch piece of cardstock that I've cut 5.5 by 12, 4 inches. I wanted you to see, and then I was like, that's not right. So score at 4, and then you could score at 8, but you'd have to open your arm, and I'm not a huge arm opener on my paper trimmer. They do have them, but my table space is often cramped because I have so much going on that I just flip my paper over and do it again for the other direction. So it's not, you don't have to have a paper score. You could just mark it and fold it, but this gives it a nice, clean straight crease, and you know. So then you're going to Z-fold it, and if you don't know what a Z-fold is, that means that once it's folded and you open it back up, see, you have a Z. Because I know sometimes we call them funky names and people are like, yeah, that's another language. I'm not quite sure what you're talking about, but that's what it means. And see, you can see it now. It's a Z. So now let's get our new cut and emboss machine over here. And you have a couple more days to get the free magnetic plate. All month long, if you buy it from me, you get a free folder. But through the 6th, you get a free magnetic plate as well. And all month long, you also get my free classes that I'm going to do. So you're going to lay this whole thing in here, smush down, and then take the stitch label die that's going to make our window. And I think the magnetic plate will do this a little bit better, but I don't have mine yet. It should be here any day. And you're just going to stick that on there. The nice thing is, if it moves, if it's not perfectly straight, there's a lot going on the front of this card, so it doesn't matter. And this is very important, just one pass through. I know some of you like to go multiple passes, which isn't good for your plates, because every time you run it through, it's one more cut in your plate. But the very important thing for this is we don't want it to cut through that back, because we want these two to be windows, but we don't want the back of our card to be a window. And if it pops through the back, then we just don't have a back of our card. So open this back up, and then it leaves you with these two little panels here, which leads me to a project of, y'all have seen me do them, of the stuff that's laying on my desk. Here's the one from before. So now I'm building a little stack of things that will be left on my desk. And they do kind of sandwich together because of the stitching. So you're going to use one, and one's going to be set aside for something else. Then I found the easiest way to do these was to do one letter at a time. So this is bright. So just put all your bright pieces on. You could probably fit 2 letters at a time, but it's just it doesn't save that much time. So just do one word at a time. Did I say letter? I forgot to take my migraine medicine this morning because I got up and immediately started stamping cards that needed to go into the mail. And then I started getting phone calls, and then the next thing I knew, it was middle of the day and I hadn't taken my migraine meds. So my words may escape me for a minute on this card. So there's bright, and then I just left them together. And then let's do joy. Some fun words in this set, and there are ways that you'd be able to use them throughout the year, because we all need some joy and some bright. You could have a bright birthday with some fun balloons, or, you know, graduation card and joy. I mean, you can use that at New Year's or weddings. Same with peace. You could use that for retirement cards. So don't think it just has to be a Christmas set. Now let's do the piece. So see, I think it's just easier leaving them all in one stack, because when I did it the first time, I did all the balloony pieces together, and then I did all the middle pieces, and then I did all the words. Well, the 2 ones, well, they were all in a giant stack of mishmash. But the middle pieces, then I was just like, well, what goes with what? Plus, they were all different colors. So then I went back when I decided I liked this color combination, and I had to go back, and you just spend more time putting them back, matching them, than just rolling them as words. This is the only one where it's stuck in there. But I'll show you, since this one came out. They all come out with a nice bevel. See that pretty little bevel that it gets? So now let's just stick it all together and do a little bit of stamping. The stamping is really fun on this one. So this is going to be our back panel. And then I just, simple color combinations, the same as the paper. So Coastal Cabana, Flirty Flamingo, and then instead of brass, because you know gold and silver at Christmas, so I went Smoky Slate, and then just black. And then I used most of the pieces that are in this set, but not all of them, but a lot of them. So for this back panel, let's do it first. So there's some holly berries. And I just did them right up here at the top. In the Coastal Cabana. Flirty Flamingo. And then I did, I'm gonna put the bright back here, so I did Bright and Happy Christmas. Where's my words? And I just went ahead and mounted them all on. So here's my bright. We can go ahead and get it all ready. And so see, because I put the sticker on here, you just pull it off. And you do want to make sure that when you do these that you have them go in the right direction, because it's a little bit like, which way do these go? And that these centers get knocked out. Because the cloudy bits, are a little bit harder to tell which direction. So here's the bright. And then you just pull off the other bright. So you can see why it's easier to just kind of keep them together. Now we can move all those out of the way. Isn't that pretty? I love the brass paper. So pull this out. Sometimes, if you're lucky, the sticker stays, but it's not going to on this one. You want to be careful not to tear them because it's such a delicate little, oh look, the sticker is coming off now. So when the sticker comes off, then you don't have to worry about it all. So just put this one on here. And I found it was easier to do one letter at a time, so they kind of go straight. And then just don't press them down in case you have to lift it back up. Isn't that just adorable and so super simple? And then the eye has fallen out. It's over here somewhere because it was right there. It might still be in the, yep, it's still in here. So just grab my scissors and knock it out. You could use take your pick tool, which I do have laying here in case I needed it for this, but my scissors are right here. Here we go. I don't know where it landed. I'll get it in a second. It's on here somewhere. I heard it hit this. But we can put that on at the end. So now this is going to go here, and you can go ahead and just do each panel as you go. So you just need a little bit of seal. You don't need Seal Plus for anything on this card. Just stick this right up here. Get my Happy Christmas. I think this is probably the one I touched earlier and got black ink on me. And I love this font. This was, it reminds me of the little label makers that if you're my age, you know, everybody had to have a label maker when they were a kid. Isn't that super fun? So now you have a bright and happy Christmas. And then there's this little half star. And just put these on here, and so they kind of go off a little bit. Just like that. And then you're going to take this piece and you're going to just mount it right back here in the back. And it just covers up. You can see that this one here has a piece that just covers up. So just cover that up. And then let's go to our front panel. So for it, you're going to need a little piece of scrap paper. It's over here, and it's the one I did the shimmer on. So for this one, I used the little pine. There's not a ton of stamping on any of this. It's definitely a white card. So just, and make sure you use some of the window. So just get some pine on here. So we've got that. And then there's a big star. The Photopolymer are always a tricky to see on your. And then these, the placement's a tad bit more important just because we're gonna add some rhinestones to the middle. So you wanna make sure that you get your centers so you'll be able to stick some rhinestones in them. Here we go. And on the front of this one, we're gonna do peace. So let's get our piece here. And again, you want to make sure that this is going the right direction. So just pull your sticker off. So much faster than having to worry about any tape or adhesive or glue. And you can see how these are cute just on their own. It doesn't have to have that brass, but it's Christmas, so do the brass. Or silver or copper, or any of them would be pretty. If you're going for a more elegant card, any of the brushed metallics would be pretty. But this one just screams 50s because of the brass and these two colors together. Sticker paper on me. So again, just pull it off a little bit and then one letter at a time. So start at the beginning and just kind of lay it down letter by letter and just kind of place them before you press. And then for this, you want to only put adhesive from one side to the other. So put your adhesive not on your piece. And I want that to have a rhinestone in it. So I'm going to just put a tiny bit of adhesive either side there. Oops, just like that. And then I add the saying, peace to you and yours. I like the black. It gives it just a little bit of a nice, kind of grounds the card. And it can go right down here. So now you can see the windows having the fun show-through effect. And then for the middle, again, you're gonna need your little scrap, but not as important on this one. So this one you want your, let's go ahead and put our joy together. So this one's the most obvious of the which directions because you can see the J. The other two, they're a little bit trickier. So don't feel like, oh, I should be able to tell because I couldn't. It took me a minute. So pop that on there. Make sure you get your middles out. There's a whole bunch of middles on this one. And they would fall straight out if they didn't have that adhesive, but I would much rather poke these out than have to try to get adhesive on the back of this tiny little thing. And it does look like it's like kind of like liquid gold. It's super pretty. This is the other thing you could use your take your pick tool for is if you poke this or your snips, because mine are laying here. My other stuff's gotten buried under all those dies. So just poke, and you can see there it lifts it up, and then you just pull it off. Just like that. I guess I'm doing the Y first on this one. But as long as it's one letter at a time, that's what you want to make sure, so they're all kind of straight. There you go. And for this one, you want to be able to see all of them. And this one doesn't reach all the way across the window, so I'm only going to put adhesive right here. And make sure you cover it all up so you don't glue your card shut. So now we need to fill in a little bit of stamping on this panel right here. And on this one, I used this little leaf thing. And I was just careful. Just be careful. You would probably put some scrap paper underneath your project. I'm just going to be careful. There's so much going on over here. Let me move it. And you don't need a ton because this really isn't, this piece of the card isn't going to be seen except from the front unless they flip their card over. So just get like 4 of those. And then again, if they flip their card over, they're gonna see this. So I just added a couple of these from our back. And you don't want to do too many because you don't want the card to feel like it's overwhelmed with stamped images. And then, how many times can I lose my little star? 1 more apparently. And I keep shutting the slate pad. So just add a star or 2. Just kind of keeps the continuity of the design going, but not a ton. Just that's enough. So now you see you have this. So there's 1 more panel that when they open this one right here, obviously they're going to see this one because it's going to be open. And again, I don't want to add a lot because I don't want it to compete with everything else, but I don't want it to be empty. So there we go. That's good. So now we're almost done. And you can see that doesn't take long at all. If you were making these for sending, I would do like all of count how many cards you're going to do all the brights, and then do all of the piece and like put your words together, and then pre-score all your cards, and then do this panel, and then do the next panel, make all of your little saying panels. And then the last little piece that just makes it super fun. And there's a ton of these that work. So I'm going to use the champagne rhinestones, but if you have the holiday rhinestones from last year, the pool party and the gold ones would work. But I'm going to use the champagne ones. And just go back in and fill in the middle of your stars. And there's 3 different sizes, so I just kind of did a big one up here at the top. And then these ones that were down here that were kind of competing for everything else, I just did the tiny ones in those. And I know my rule of 3, but since this is kind of like a Christmas tree design, it doesn't matter so much. So there you go. There's a Christmas trifold. And sometimes I think when we send a lot of cards, we're like, I would not do something so time consuming, but it's not time consuming. In fact, it's a little less time consuming than tying ribbons and coloring. So sometimes we make a trade-off. And in fact, as far as postage goes, you know, sometimes our ribbons can make our cards be kind of fat. This one's actually nice and flat because there's not a whole lot going on. But it's also going to be pretty, they might set it out on their mantle, but it's super fun. All of it's nice and colored in. So my other one looks just the same, except for the fact that some of these may be placed a little bit different, but exactly the same. So I hope you enjoy that. Have a great Labor Day weekend if you're in the US. And I know that I don't want it to be fall, but you know, at least I can pull out my autumn decorations. So I'll show you a bit of those next week. Have a great day. Bye.